My parents stole my inheritance to buy my brother a house, so I bought my own and blocked them forever when they came begging later. I've always been the scapegoat of my family. The invisible one. The one whose name they remembered only when something needed to be blamed, cleaned, or sacrificed. My older brother Kyle, he was the golden boy. Always has been. He could skip class, wreck the family car, failed 2 semesters in a row, and somehow, my parents would spin it like he was going through a phase or just too smart for school. Meanwhile, I once got a B+ in math and was grounded for a week because I was losing focus. It wasn't just favoritism. It was something uglier, like I was the placeholder child until the real son came along. Kyle's existence made mine feel conditional, and I wish I could say I fought back, stood up, demanded to be seen, but I didn't. I just shrunk. By the time I was 16, I stopped telling them when I made honor roll. I stopped leaving my trophies on the shelf. I just quietly put them in a box under my bed. No one noticed anyway. Meanwhile, Kyle once microwaved a fork and nearly set the kitchen on fire, and got a freaking cake the next day for surviving the scare. There was this one night, I remember it like it was burned into me. I came home from my part-time job at 10 p.m., soaking wet from the rain, and found my entire family at the dinner table, celebrating Kyle's promotion to assistant manager at some car wash. No one saved me a plate. My mom barely looked up from the cake to say, "Oh, you're back?" It sounds petty when I say it out loud, but those moments pile up. One day you realize the people who were supposed to love you never really saw you, and the worst part? I still held on to the hope that maybe one day things would change. But I was wrong. So wrong. When I was a senior in high school, I got accepted into a solid state university. Nothing Ivy League, but it was mine. I had worked my ass off for that letter. My GPA, my essays, the sleepless nights, it had all paid off. I remember holding that acceptance email in my hands, heart pounding, thinking, maybe now they'll be proud of me. They weren't. My mom didn't even look up from her phone. "That's great," she muttered. "But who's going to help with the store if you leave?" My dad was more direct. "Kyle already tried the college thing. Waste of time and money. You should stay here. We'll support you in the long run." Support. That word rang in my ears like a promise. They said if I stayed home, helped out with the family's struggling convenience store, and maybe did community college online, they'd invest in me. That's what my dad said. "We'll invest in you." He made it sound noble, like I was being handed a golden opportunity, so I declined the offer. Told the university I wouldn't be attending. Packed away the acceptance letter in a shoebox and started waking up at 6 a.m. to stock shelves and mop sticky floors. I watched Kyle come and go as he pleased. Sleep until noon, crash his secondhand BMW, and get it replaced without question. Whenever I asked when I'd get my investment, my mom would just say, "We're working on it. Be patient." So I was. For years, I kept believing, like a fool, that this was a long game. That one day they'd follow through. That there'd be a check in my name, or a college fund they had secretly saved, or even just acknowledgement, but nothing came. Just more shifts, more broken promises, and more of Kyle's empty victories being shoved in my face. And then, something happened that changed everything. Something that gave me hope, just long enough to watch it be ripped away. My grandfather was the only one in my family who ever treated me like I mattered. He wasn't loud about it. He didn't shower me with praise or money. But he listened. He asked about my grades. He remembered my birthday. When I was younger, he once slipped me $20 and said, "This is for you. Don't let your parents guilt you into handing it over." When he passed, I was gutted. I didn't cry at the funeral, not because I wasn't hurting, but because I didn't want to show it in front of people who had never once noticed my grief. Kyle did a dramatic speech at the service. My parents beamed at him like he was giving a TED Talk. I stood in the back, alone. About a month later, the lawyer called. My grandfather had left a will, and I was in it. I didn't expect much, maybe a book or a small amount. But then the lawyer looked me straight in the eye and said, "He left you $120,000, specifically in your name." I couldn't even speak. My hands went cold. It felt like, for the first time ever, someone had chosen me. Someone had seen through the noise and said, "You deserve a shot." But the high didn't last. When I told my parents about it, they looked completely unfazed. My mom actually smiled and said, "That's wonderful. We'll help you manage it." I blinked. Manage it? It's in my name. My dad put a hand on my shoulder. You're still young. It's better if we hold on to it. Keep it safe until you're ready. And just like that, I let them take control. I signed some paperwork the lawyer gave me. Just to confirm transfer for safekeeping, they said. Didn't realize then that I had just signed away the last piece of protection I'd ever get in that family, and worse, I wouldn't find out the truth until it was too late. It started with a simple question over dinner. I was 22, still working at the store, still living at home, still waiting for that investment they promised. I had saved every cent I could, took on side gigs, even started tutoring just to make ends meet. And one night, after another long shift where Kyle conveniently bailed last minute, I asked, "Hey, whatever happened to Grandpa's money?" The room went silent. My mom kept stirring the spaghetti like she hadn't heard me. My dad cleared his throat. "What money?" I stared at them. "The inheritance. The $120,000 Grandpa left me. It's been almost 4 years. I think I'm ready to start making decisions about it." My dad chuckled, but it wasn't funny. "We used it." "For the family." My stomach dropped. "Used it? On what?" My mom finally looked up. "Kyle needed a down payment. The housing market is brutal. It was the right thing to do." I couldn't breathe. "You used my inheritance to buy Kyle a house?" "It's all in the family," she said, as if that somehow made it okay. "You'll benefit too." One day, I stood up, knocking my chair back. My voice was shaking. "That money was mine. Grandpa left it to me, he said it." The lawyer said it. My dad's face hardened. "Don't be ungrateful. Kyle is going to take care of us all. He's building something. You'll have your time." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My blood was roaring in my ears. I felt like the floor had fallen out beneath me. They stole it. They took what little security I had, what little recognition I was ever given, and handed it to the golden child without blinking. And somehow, they still made me feel like the bad guy. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just walked out of the room because if I stayed, I don't know what I would have done. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my chest tight, thoughts spiraling like a tornado in my skull. I kept replaying it. My mother's casual tone, my father's indifference, Kyle's smug face in that Instagram post from last month. Him, smiling in front of a brand new townhouse with the caption, "Finally a homeowner. Grateful to my amazing parents for the support." No mention of me. No hint that it wasn't their money at all. The next morning, I didn't go downstairs. I didn't clock in at the store. I just sat at my desk and opened my journal, the same one I used to vent in during high school. I started writing everything. Every time they dismissed me. Every time Kyle got rewarded for doing nothing. Every broken promise. Every fake smile. Every betrayal, big or small, I needed it in writing. I needed to remind myself that this wasn't in my head. That I wasn't overreacting. I didn't speak to them for 2 weeks. When Kyle threw a housewarming party, my parents begged me to come. "It'll be good for the family," my mom said. "You don't want to look petty, do you?" I said nothing and hung up. I started researching lawyers. Inheritance theft, misuse of funds, fraud, anything. But without direct proof, without access to the financial documents or the original account, I had nothing. And the paperwork I signed back then? Likely enough to let them off the hook. I felt powerless. Like I had been robbed, not just of money, but of trust, of love, of a future that could have been different. I wanted to scream, but instead, I just got quieter, and more focused. If they thought I would just accept this and stay their punching bag forever, they had no idea what was coming. The day I stopped waiting for them was the day I started building for me. I moved out 3 months later. Nothing fancy, just a dingy studio apartment with peeling paint, a leaky faucet, and neighbors who played reggaeton until 2 a.m. But it was mine. No one questioned when I came home. No one rolled their eyes when I made plans. No one called me selfish for needing space. I picked up extra shifts at the tutoring center, started delivering groceries on weekends. I ate ramen and eggs for dinner, sold some of my old electronics. Every dollar went into a new savings account, one with a password my parents would never guess and access they'd never touch again. They didn't take the hint. My mom texted constantly. "Kyle needs help assembling furniture. Be a good brother." My dad left voicemails like, "Come by the store Saturday, we're short-staffed." I ignored all of it. They didn't want me. They wanted my labor. My silence. My forgiveness without the work. and I was done being their quiet little fixer. But I didn't burn it all down. Not yet. I played nice in public, smiled in family group photos, kept my distance but not too much. It gave me time. Time to build. Eventually, I met someone at a co-working space, an older man named Victor. He was retired, sharp as a blade, and always scribbling on spreadsheets. One day, he glanced at my laptop and said, "You're wasting your talent working for other people." I laughed, but he was serious. He started teaching me about investing, credit, budgeting, stuff no one in my family ever cared to explain. For the first time in my life, I saw a road out. A quiet fire started burning in me. They had taken the money, but they hadn't taken me, and I was about to become someone they never expected. Victor didn't treat me like a lost kid or some charity case. He treated me like a student, someone worth teaching. Every Saturday morning, I'd meet him at this greasy diner on 6th Street. Over bitter coffee and eggs that always came out too runny, he'd walk me through everything from index funds to high-yield savings accounts, from credit utilization to real estate trends. It was like learning a new language, one that opened doors I didn't even know existed. He'd say things like, "Don't let anger build your future. Let structure do it." And I didn't always get it then, but I nodded anyway, soaking up every word. I started applying what I learned in real time, opened a Roth IRA, built my credit from scratch, moved my money into a separate bank, one my parents didn't even know existed. He told me not to tell anyone what I was doing. Build in silence. Let success speak. I listened. I cut back my hours at the store until I quit entirely. My parents were furious. "You're abandoning us," my mom said. "After everything we've done for you." I nearly laughed. I didn't argue. Didn't yell. I just said, "I have other plans now," and walked out. Victor connected me with a freelance bookkeeping gig. That led to another client. Then another. I was working 12-hour days, but I didn't care. Every invoice I sent, every payment that cleared, every milestone I hit, it felt like a quiet rebellion. Kyle got his house handed to him. I was going to build mine, brick by brick, paycheck by paycheck, hour by grueling hour, and every time I hit a new savings goal, I imagined the look on their faces the day they'd realize I never needed them. They needed me, and that was about to become painfully clear. I bought my condo on a gray Tuesday morning. No fanfare. No confetti. Just me, a nervous pen in my hand, and a middle-aged realtor named Diane who smiled like she'd seen 1,000 versions of this moment before. But for me, it was everything. A 700-square-foot one-bedroom. North-facing windows. Slight water damage on the kitchen tiles. But it was mine. Paid for in full. No mortgage, no cosigner, no help. Just years of quiet grinding, cold dinners, canceled weekends, and the memory of everything they stole from me fueling every step. I didn't tell a soul. Not Victor. Not friends. Definitely not my parents. I moved in with a borrowed pickup truck, a mattress in the back, and 3 suitcases of stuff I actually cared about. When I turned the key in the door for the first time, I stood there for a full 5 minutes before stepping inside. The silence was perfect. Not empty. Free. I took a photo of myself in the doorway, holding up the keys with a half smile. I didn't post it anywhere. I printed it, framed it, placed it on the little shelf by the kitchen, right next to a handwritten note that said, "Built, not gifted." Every night I'd sit on the balcony, legs propped on the railing, and sip coffee out of an old chipped mug. Not because I liked the view, it was mostly other buildings, but because for once I didn't owe anyone anything. Not my time. Not my obedience. Not my silence. I felt like I had finally outrun the version of me they tried to chain down. But of course, they found me. It started with a knock on the door. Sharp, familiar, and way too early on a Saturday morning. I froze, and when I opened it, there they were. They looked smaller somehow. My mom's hair was a mess, her eyes puffy like she hadn't slept in days. My dad stood behind her, arms crossed, mouth tight. Neither of them said anything at first. They just stared at me, as if they couldn't believe I had the audacity to exist without them. I didn't move. I didn't invite them in. Finally, my mom spoke. "Can we talk?" I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. She sighed, rubbing her hands together like she was working up to something. "Kyle's house is gone," I blinked. "What?" "The bank foreclosed," my dad muttered. "He lost his job months ago. Got behind on payments." I leaned against the railing, trying to keep my expression neutral. That's unfortunate. My mom looked at me like she expected me to cry, or panic, or throw my arms around her. We didn't know where else to go, she said. We thought maybe just for a little while we could stay with you. Till things stabilize, I nearly laughed. But instead I asked, how'd you even find me? Victor posted a photo of you at some seminar, my dad admitted. We asked around. Look, we know things have been rocky, but we're family. There it was, that word. Family. The same word they used when they robbed me. When they gaslit me. When they erased me from every celebration, every conversation, every plan. I looked at the two of them, tired, desperate, still clinging to the idea that I'd just fall back in line. You want to stay with me? I said slowly. After stealing everything I had? My mom's eyes welled up. We made mistakes. But Kyle, he's your brother. He needs you. I shook my head, a bitter taste in my mouth. For the first time in my life, I had something they couldn't take, and I wasn't about to let them back in. I let the silence hang for a moment. Heavy, awkward, honest. Then I said it. Calm, quiet, deliberate. I bought this place. With my own money. No loans, no help. No stolen inheritance. My mom's face crumbled. My dad looked like someone had slapped him across the mouth. Neither of them said a word. I lived off instant noodles and worked 16-hour days while you played house with Kyle, I continued. Now you're here asking for a couch to crash on? After what you did? My mom's voice trembled. We didn't think it would end up like this. Kyle was supposed to what? I snapped. Be your retirement plan? Your golden investment? Your full-time excuse for screwing me over? I could see it then, clear as day. They hadn't just picked Kyle over me. They had built their entire future around him, bet everything on him, and now that the house of cards had collapsed, they were scrambling for the backup plan. Kyle texted me later that night. Quile, heard you've got your own place. Nice. Look, Mom and Dad are struggling. Don't be a dick. Help out for once, help out for once. I stared at those words so long they started to blur. I wanted to throw my phone across the room, but I didn't. Instead, I turned off notifications, placed the phone face down, and went to stand at the window. The city buzzed below me, honking cars, flickering lights, distant laughter. I had finally escaped. And now they were clawing at the walls of what I built, pretending they didn't help burn down what was mine in the first place. They thought I owed them. That I was still that scared, eager-to-please boy begging for scraps of affection, but I wasn't, and next time, they wouldn't come. Knocking, because I was about to lock every door for good. It happened 2 days later. Was coming home from a client meeting, just a normal Tuesday, when I saw a crowd gathered near the front of my building. My stomach dropped before I even knew why. I pushed through the people and froze. Kyle. Drunk. Slurring. Screaming my name into the air like it was some kind of curse. His shirt was untucked, hair a mess, and one of his shoes was missing. He looked wrecked. You think you're better than me now? He shouted. You think you're some kind of king because you bought a shitty little apartment? Someone snickered nearby. A woman muttered, "Yikes," and pulled her kid behind her. I stepped forward slowly. Kyle, you need to leave. He staggered toward me. You owe me, he yelled, pointing a shaking finger in my face. That money was ours. You wouldn't have had any of it if it weren't for Mom and Dad. For me. Security appeared out of nowhere. 2 guys I'd nodded to 100 times but never thought I'd need. They moved fast. One of them blocked Kyle's path. The other gently took my arm and asked, You want him removed? I didn't even hesitate. Yes. Watching him get dragged away while still yelling about family and loyalty was something I never thought I'd see. I felt 100 eyes on me, judgment and pity swirling together. I should have felt powerful, vindicated. But instead, I felt hollow. Even in his most pathetic moment, he managed to humiliate me. Drag my name through the mud in the one place I'd finally found peace. When I got inside, I collapsed on the floor. My hands were shaking. I didn't cry, I was past crying. I just sat there, breathing slowly, staring at the front door like it might explode open again. This was my rock bottom. Not because I lost something, but because I realized, no matter how far I ran, their chaos still followed me. That night, I didn't sleep. I just lay there in the dark, eyes wide open, listening to the hum of my fridge and the occasional honk from the street below. My body was still. My mind was on fire. Every word Kyle had screamed replayed like a broken loop. You owe me. That money was ours. You think you're better than me. I kept whispering to myself, no, I don't owe you. I don't owe anyone. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I opened my laptop, pulled up a blank document, and started typing. Not for a blog, not for social media, just for me, a letter. A final one. I addressed it to my parents, and then I wrote. I wrote about the nights I stayed late at the store while Kyle went clubbing, about the trophies I hid under my bed, about the college offer I turned down because I believed in a promise that was never real, about Grandpa, about the inheritance, about watching them smile while they handed my future to someone who never earned it. I didn't hold back. I wasn't cruel, but I wasn't kind either. I told them the truth, the raw, ugly truth they refused to acknowledge. And when I reached the end, I typed, "This is the last time I carry your mistakes. I release them and you from my life. Goodbye." I didn't send it. I printed it, folded it in half, burned it in a small ceramic bowl I kept by the window. The smoke curled into the morning light, disappearing into the sky. Then I opened my phone. One by one, I blocked their numbers, my mother, my father, Kyle, even the family group chat that hadn't included me in months. It wasn't anger anymore. It wasn't revenge. It was peace, and I was finally ready to protect it, no matter what came next. It had been 3 quiet months, no texts, no calls, no banging on my door or drunken outbursts in the hallway. Just silence. Blessed, uninterrupted silence. For the first time in my life, I wasn't bracing for the next emotional ambush. I was working, sleeping, laughing at dumb YouTube videos, burning candles without worrying if someone would mock me for being too soft. Then, one morning, I opened my mailbox and found a plain white envelope with my name written in handwriting I hadn't seen in years. My aunt. Not the performative one who clapped the loudest at Kyle's graduation party. The other one. My grandfather's sister. The quiet one who always sat near the kitchen at family gatherings, who used to slip me cookies and tell me I was stronger than they knew. Inside the envelope was a letter, and a photocopy. The letter was short, barely a page. She said she'd heard about what happened with the inheritance, though the full story had only recently reached her. She apologized for staying silent, said she had no idea the money had been taken from me. Then she wrote, "Your grandfather told me, plain as day, that money was for you because you earned it, and because you needed a chance to build something for yourself. I wanted you to have a copy of his original instructions. I thought it might bring you some peace." The attached page was a scanned section of the will, the handwritten addendum. It read, "This amount is to go solely to my name. No joint accounts, no parental oversight. I want him to have this without interference." My throat tightened. He knew what they were like. He had seen it all, and he tried to protect me from it. They had stolen more than money. They'd stolen a gift meant to free me, but even in death, my grandfather had given me something back. The truth. I held that photocopy in my hands like it was made of glass. It wasn't just ink on paper, it was validation, proof. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't being dramatic. I wasn't too sensitive like my mother always claimed. I had been robbed. And now I had the receipts. I called my aunt. She picked up on the first ring. Her voice was soft, like she'd been carrying this guilt in her chest for too long. "I should have asked questions," she said. "Your grandfather was clear. He didn't want that money touched. I just assumed your parents honored it." I swallowed hard. "They didn't even blink. They used it for Kyle's house like it was their right." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "They told the rest of the family a different story. Said the money was split equally. That you spent yours on bad decisions." My stomach turned. "What?" "They said you refused college. That you partied. That you gave your portion back to them out of gratitude." I didn't question it. "I should have. I'm sorry." I sat there stunned, the lies unspooling in my head like a thread I hadn't pulled yet. How many people believed I was the selfish one, the lazy one? How many birthdays, weddings, reunions had I skipped because I didn't want to face the judgment I didn't even know was being whispered behind my back? My aunt asked if I wanted to confront them. I said no, I didn't need revenge. I didn't need drama. I needed my story back. So I did the one thing I never thought I'd do. I wrote it all out, not for them, but for the world. I posted it anonymously on a forum, hoping someone, anyone, would understand. Within hours, the replies started pouring in, and what I read next changed everything I thought I knew about being alone. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of comments. Thousands of upvotes. Messages from strangers telling me this was my story too. I thought I was the only one. You just described my entire childhood. I read every single one. Some made me cry. Some made me laugh bitterly. Some made me realize just how many people walk through life carrying the same invisible wounds I did, unseen, unheard, unvalidated. For the first time, I didn't feel like the problem. I felt understood. I felt real, and that's when the messages started coming in from people who actually knew me. A former classmate reached out. I always thought it was weird how your family treated you. I'm glad you're doing better. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years sent a DM. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. They told us you wanted nothing to do with us. Piece by piece, the lies fell apart. Then Kyle tried again. This time, through one of our mutual childhood friends. Hey man, just wanted to say Kyle's really sorry, the message read. He knows he messed up. He's in a rough place. He's asking if you'd meet up, maybe grab coffee and talk things out. Start fresh. Start fresh. Like years of emotional theft, manipulation, and betrayal could be wiped clean over a cappuccino. I stared at that message for a long time. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I could have responded. I could have gone, listened, maybe even yelled. Part of me wanted that confrontation, but I didn't need it. Instead, I typed 2 words. I'm done. Blocked the number. Again, because peace isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the quiet power of choosing yourself, and this time I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. But I still had one last thing to do. Something just for me. Something he would have been proud of. The sun was low that evening, casting long amber streaks across the floor of my condo. I stood by the window, holding a cup of coffee that had long gone cold, watching the city move on without me, without them. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel angry. I just felt still. For the first time in my life, I wasn't fighting to be seen. I wasn't begging to be chosen. I wasn't trying to prove I mattered. I knew I did. That weekend, I did something I had put off for months. I visited my grandfather's grave. I brought a folding chair, a thermos of coffee, and a printed copy of the will addendum. I sat down beside him, the grass damp beneath my sneakers, and whispered, I got it, Grandpa. I finally got it. I told him everything. About the condo. About Victor. About how I'd blocked them all. About the lies, the breakdown, the healing. I don't know if he could hear me, but I like to think he did. I like to think he smiled, the way he used to when I got an A on a test and pretended like it wasn't a big deal. Before I left, I folded the will copy and tucked it beneath a smooth stone at the base of his headstone. Not out of spite, but as a symbol, a thank you. On the walk back, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my aunt. Your grandfather would have been proud of the man you've become and the peace you've chosen. I stood there on the sidewalk, heart full and quiet. No tears, no drama, just a soft, steady pulse in my chest that finally said, You're safe now. I unlocked my front door, stepped inside, and for the first time in forever, I didn't look over my shoulder. I didn't wonder who might show up. I just closed the door behind me and I didn't open it again.